Hello guys, and welcome to Michigan. As cars getting out of the track and I can't see my fraps counter, so I'm going to pop that up. First car out on the track after the 2-week break is Stephen Pollard III in the Holiday Inn Chevrolet, a 2-time winner this season, and looking to try and make the race after missing the show last weekend. So let's see, Stephen comes in this race 17th in the owner's points, so doing a fairly good job still despite missing the last race. Sam Curtis now is the next car that we'll talk about. Sam comes into this race 30th in the owner's points, 29th in drivers. Important for them because they know that they will be in the chase if that stays true. So Sam doing a good job for himself right now. As I'm actually going to adjust the volume here, this is going to freeze for a moment. There, that's better. Kyle Collins on track right now. Talking about him as guys start to set their first legitimate lap times. Collins, a rookie so far this season, comes into this race 21st in the owners, 20th in drivers. Great job by the Tide Chevrolet to be up there at least in the points so far at this point in the season. Still not as high of expectations right now for him because he is a rookie, so has had his fair share of DNQs this season. Levi McIntyre currently sits number 4 on the board as that car comes into this race 31st in the drivers and 32nd in owners. Very important for Levi to make this race because he is one of the guys who has a win this season. Here as we get ready to start the second half of the regular season here in this win and you're in chase format. Ash Curtis with National Day of Prayer has to, well actually no, he does not have to make it in on speed. Comes into this race 37th in the owner's points. And Ash Curtis doing a very good job, at least for that team that has not really had all that great of a season, but yet finds themselves now top 42 in the owner's points despite the idea that they missed so many races in the early going. Mason Powers has to make it on speed if he's going to race, so not much to really talk about there. Here's the guy who's number 2 on the board. It's I'm thinking of last season. Jonathan Zorline in the 44 car. As Zorline has to make it in on speed if he's going to race here this weekend. Mary Shelley now goes to number 1. Jeff James has been on a little bit of a skid as of late. Struggling to make races. I think he's missed the last 2. Jeff James comes in this race 19th in the owner's points. Currently he's 21st on the speed chart. It's going to have to bring that up if he's going to race, I think. Preston Plord, talk about a guy on the opposite side of the spectrum. 9th in the points right now for the 04 team as they are 3 wide coming down the straightaway. That's not good for speeds. But Plord right now 16th quickest at a 35.24. And Plord top 10 in the points right now coming into this race. So great job this season. As that's why Mary Shelley was able to run so quick. She was behind all this group. Troy King right now is 27th quickest at 35.40. And Troy King comes into this race 18th in the owner's points right now in that 60 car. So they're probably going to need to kick it up a notch if they're going to make this race. Mary Shelley, fastest in town, but still has that past champions provisional if she needs it, as Kyle Matthews jumps up to number 2 now. Mary Shelley comes in this race 22nd in the owner's points, even though we know she will race. It's just a matter of if it's on speed or on the point, or the provisional. Jessica Shelton now jumps up to number 1, as we talk about Sky Commons, who knows he will race 4th in the points right now in the number 10. Valvoline Dodge, as Scott Commons has done a great job this season, only using 1 Provo so far this season, but right now that 10 does not look like it has much speed. Jake Baskinger bringing out Interstate Batteries this week, currently sits 20th quick, has to make it on speed, 57th in the owner's points. DJ Curtis has fallen to 14th in the owner's points as of late, or 15th, I don't know where, depends on where the 15's at. But DJ still doing a great job this season. I think they fell out of the chase picture with the D&Q last race. DJ is the highest in points without a top 5 finish so far this season in 14th. 4 top 10s, but 0 top 5s for the 14 this season. Brian Patterson looks to be struggling. 26th quickest right now for the 17. And Patterson came into this race 34th in the owner's points, so probably was going to be very necessary for him to make it in on speed, especially if the 43 is going to make it in right now, as well as Will Lewis. As Chris Louvier now, Chris Louvier, we talk about him, 35.11, his quickest lap, his 22nd quickest. Louvier had to make it on speed if he was going to race this Hot Hughes Chevrolet in this race. Alex Hawkins just getting up to speed right now. Going to slow up Jessica Shelton a little bit on the outside line there. The Yellow Freight All-Star Race winning car, currently 25th quickest, had to make it on speed if they were going to race. Let's talk about the fastest woman in town right now. Jessica Shelton, 34.63, her quick lap, put her up at the top of the speed charts. Jess had to make it in on speed if she was going to race here today or this weekend. 43rd in the owner's points for car 43. Looks like they'll be able to make it. Alex Perkle in car number 1 is 16th in the owner's points coming into this one and is currently 8th place on the speed chart. So a great job by Alex Perkle. Looks like they should be able to race, I think, with that time. Got one other guy we're going to talk about back here, as there it is, Kyle Matthews. 4th quickest right now on the speed charts at 34.88 in the 09 car. And Matthews comes into this race 24th in the owner's points, so doing a decent job so far this season. Let's talk about the 4, Max Newart, who's been on a little bit of a charge as of late. Still has to make it on speed if he was going to race, but currently 15th quickest. That might be a little bit borderline on if he's going to be able to race. Will Lewis, the AAA Ford, currently 3rd quickest. Man, those colors are doing them some wonders. 58th in the owner's points still coming in. We're going to have to make it in on speed if they were going to race, and right now they would. Dylan Casella right now, he's a go or go homer. He had to make it on speed and currently would not. 25th quickest. That would not be good enough to make it in. So right now Dylan's going to have to pick it up a notch if he's going to race. Jean Sanford in the 55 currently finds herself 19th quickest, and Jean finds herself 12th in the points, right above older brother Charles in the points. Those two 12th and 13th. The Bill Davis car has been awesome this season. Very much a surprise so far for them to be actually up there in the points. Momo Akari comes into this race 7th in the points. I just realized we hadn't talked about her yet. But Momo 7th in the points with the not Bill Davis, the Penske Racing Dodge. Sorry, a bit rusty, haven't recorded in 2 weeks. The Miller Lite Dodge has been great so far this season though. Momo Akari's got it up there. Fell back a little bit though after last week. We've yet to talk about Theo Stegall. I don't know where he's at in owner's points, but looking pretty good right now on speed. 11th quickest right now as Alex Hawkins jumped up to number 4. But Theo doing a great job this season. The Hot Shot Chevrolet this week. That's kind of a funny name, I guess. But oh well. Theo looking pretty good on speed right now. Ben Newart, the other waste management car this week, is 18th quickest. And Ben was 28th in the owner's points coming into this one. So not terribly bad actually for the 23. But definitely not as good as his Bill Davis Racing teammate Gene Sanford there. We've yet to talk about Tom Shelley, who's fallen to 5th in points now after the last race. Let's see, they got Marathon on that car this week, hoping that and the American Spirit will actually kind of boost their morale, I guess, because it's been a rough couple of last weeks for Tom Shelley. Still knows he will race though. Has a comfortable gap over Ashley LaPlante for the 5th spot in points. Hiroshi Kazuyoshi, 9th quickest right now, and had to make it in on... Well, no, did not, actually. The 59's been another car that's made some gains the last couple weeks. 38th in the owner's points coming into this one. Well, and that's everyone we have talked about so far. So let's check in on the 18th place car, the car we just talked about, Ben Neuwirth in the 23. And how about even Dylan Casella, who's trying to make just a couple bit of gains to get up there. They are only separate by 9 thousandths of a second between those three cars, and it's Gene Sanford that's in 20th at the same time as Casella. So let's see what Gene and Ben and Casella can all put up here. Momo Akari currently comfortable, 13th quickest. Down the back straightaway they come. Domino's on Domino's Pizza trying to be quick here. Oh, took a little bit of a high line there. Here comes Momo Akari now. Trying to stay in the slipstream of the 06. That lap was slower. Okay, here we go. Let's see if this lap's going to be any better. Momo Akari still making a peak on the inside of the 55. It's going to affect them for turn 3, I think. Yeah, that's going to kill that lap. Zorline's all by himself. Shelley's all by himself. Baskinger's essentially all by himself. Collins is all by himself. Well, he's got Levi there, but still. Louvier's in a pack. This could work. And he's got some quick cars in it too, the 43 and the 6. 2.5 minutes remaining. As there goes Shelton, so that's pretty much going to kill Louvier's lap. Let's see if Louvier can kind of just get a draft off these guys the next lap here. I think that's what he's going to try and go for here. He's going to fall in behind the 17. 35.7 that time. Way off his quickest 35.1. And Louvier down the back straightaway. The hot Hughes Chevrolet with the flames on it. He's got Alex Hawkins now behind him. I don't think this is going to be a quick lap. A little bit quicker, but yeah. So not very... I don't think there's too many guys out here that are going to run a quick lap. Let's watch Patterson a little bit here. I think if you're in Group 2, you need to be watching this because the times to set are going to be in the early part of this session, it looks like, because if you try and wait, you're not going to pick up anything. Just look at Patterson just struggling, trying to get something. Just trying so hard to get at least something. He might get some help here by getting pushed down the back straightaway and being on the inside line of 1. But I mean, here comes Hawkins now to the inside of him. So got to get that lap early on in the session if you're going to do anything good to try and make this race. So the standby time has started. Laps just now kind of being official. Gonna try and watch the 18th place, see if anyone makes a jump here. These are the flying laps. These are the final laps that will count. And that's it. Casella's lap does not count there. And so, the top 6 in this session that know that they will race are going to be Jessica Shelton, Sam Curtis, Mary Shelley, Will Lewis, Alex Hawkins, and Kyle Matthews in the 09. Drivers that will have to sweat bullets, probably going to be Ben Neuwirth, Ash Curtis, Dylan Casella, Gene Sanford, Tom Shelley. That time could be good enough. They're fairly close there. As that will do it there. Skycom's going to have to fall back on his points. I do not see that time being good enough. Powers is going to be a DNQ. Plord's going to have to hope that his points are good enough, which I would hope that they would be in 9th. Baskinger, Zorline, I believe, all going to be DNQs out of this one. Stranger things have happened. I mean, Baskinger's not out of it yet, but I think definitely Baskinger on down, not going to get on speed. We have not seen the proof of that yet this weekend. So, with that, I will bid adieu, and we will be back for group number 2 right after this. Hello, and welcome back. As we wait for our car to head out there, we are here for group number 2. And it looks as though we do have one. It's going to be the 22 of Allie Nelson, who will be first out onto the track. The 22 of Bill Davis Racing has had an up and down season. Currently finds himself 30th in the driver and 31st in the owner's points right now. Not a must make it in on speed, but I mean, for Nelson, you pretty much are a must make it in if you're going to race on Sunday. Another guy who's essentially a must make it in on speed, William Duncan, one spot above the I am almost out of this race bubble. 3 of the Gorgo homers locked themselves in Group 1. Duncan would be the next to get eliminated if one of the Gorgo homers knocks themselves or qualifies for the race. Duncan, a must make it in on speed for the Lowe's Chevrolet. Talking about his teammate now, Austin LaPlante is 23rd in the owner's points, 22nd in drivers for the rookie. Doing a nice job so far this season as he runs the exact same lap time as William Duncan, even on a warm-up lap. I find that impressive. That was amazing. Doing a good job so far, though. We'll talk now about Tristan Wilhoit, who, not much to say, has to make it on speed if he's going to race that 21 car, which will be piloted by Jessica Shelton next season. So, Wilhoit trying to get that car as far up in points as he can, maybe try and get top 42 by the end of the season. Jay Stella brings Principal Financial Group here to Michigan this weekend, trying to make the show. Has to make it on speed if he is going to race, as Duncan goes top of speed charts. Daniel Day finds himself 26th in the drivers and 27th in the owners for the 2-time All-Star Race winner. Granted, that doesn't matter here. He was not able to defend his two consecutive All-Star Race wins a couple weeks ago, but still, nonetheless, a good job by Daniel Day so far this season to just try and get this car into races. Remember, they started out with no points at the start of the season. As Chris Washer goes to the top of the speed charts by 0.02 of a second, we now talk about Matt Dixon for a little bit. Dixon, just like pretty much all the Ganassi cars in this session, going to have to make it in on speed if he's going to want to race. Even Cosmic Nova, who is top 42 in the points, now has to make it in on speed. As Zach Cruller goes top of speed charts, we now talk about Ashley LaPlante, who is a virtual lock for this show, as now Allie Nelson goes up there. So far, they have not touched the time of Kyle Matthews, which would lock him into the show. But Ashley LaPlante currently is 6th in the points coming into this race, so a great job by this 31 car. No real shock, I guess. Remember what happened the last time they had a rookie pilot this car. 2 wins and a championship for Trevor Meacham back in season number 2. As so close. Kenny Bale finds himself 14th quickest. Nope, not yet. They haven't done it yet. Kenny Bale has to make it on speed now if he's going to race, as Eric Enrage is the quickest guy here. And it's not yet locked himself into this race. He's about 0.04 of a second short of doing so, as Matthew Moraes is 0.05 of a second short. their target lap time a 34.882. Enrage at 34.886. Enrage will race, so too will Marias. It's just they don't know where and haven't clinched themselves into the first 6 rows essentially. But Eric Enrage having a great season so far. Has kind of found himself on a little bit of rough times as Charles Sanford goes quickest in this session, and that is good enough to ensure that he will race regardless. So too is Steve Pollard. Those two have ran fast enough. As final little note on Eric Enrage, 20th in the points. They've done a great job so far this season to make at least most of the races. Charles Jackson finds himself 6th quickest right now at 34.91, and he is 36th in the points coming into this, trying to get to the top 30, because remember, he won at Orlando, so if he can get top 30 in the driver's points, that car will be good enough to make it into the chase. Steve Pollard now just put himself onto the outside front row right now at a 34.71. Talked about Nelson already. Dylan Thoreau, 29th quickest right now, is 35th in the points for owners coming in. Jackson will race. He's put himself inside row 2 right now. Great lap by Jackson. But Dylan Thoreau, 35th in the owners' points coming in. That Jim Beam black Chevrolet going to have to improve his time if he's going to race. We didn't talk about Chris Washer actually jumping up to the top of the speed charts a little bit ago, but currently finds himself 8th quickest right now. Trying to get a draft off of the 80 of Axel Casella, who's battling with the 90 of Henry Powers right now. But Chris Washer comes into this race 10th in the owner's points, actually, because the 15 is actually in between the 55 and the 05. But Washer doing a great job so far this season. The Hendrick Chevrolet, the highlight of their class of drivers this season so far. Dylan Young just coming back out onto the track. He knows he will race. Currently is 10th quickest though. He is 2nd in the points to Amy Shelley coming into this one. A great job so far for the DEI car this season. Been the highlight of their class as Theo Stegall took over for Henry Sanford after an injury in the 15. That car's been doing good. And Alex Perkle is about in the mid-teens right now in the owner's points and the driver's points. We've yet to talk about this car that will race, but it's Charles Sanford here. The big red car still on board. That car at least for at least a few more races. So far they've done a pretty good job. They were running really well last week, but then unfortunately had problems. Sanford though knows he will race. He's 14th in the owner's points coming into this one. Not that it matters anymore. He is good enough to race in on his time. Sam Young is 19th quickest right now. And this session's actually quicker. This session is way quicker than the last session. Bad news for Ash Curtis and Ben Neuwirth fans that this session is actually quicker. We'll get to that a little bit later, but Sam Young is 19th quickest right now. Would be good enough to race, I believe, if it needed to. We talked about Kenny Bale. Mason Neal is 9th quickest right now in the Sony HD TV number 12. As Mason comes into this race 11th in the points, one of our top performing rookies really so far this season. A great job by Mason to just be up there. Not as good as his teammate though, ironically enough. I mean, the Penske cars have been dominant this season. Matthew Marias pretty much knows he will race. 5th quickest right now in the 19 car. As Matthew had to make it in on speed if he was going to race. Zach Kreller currently finds himself 6th quickest at a 34.89. A great lap time by them. Kreller comes into this race 33rd in the owner's points. They've done a little bit of a slide in recent weeks. To no fault there, and just haven't had really all that good of a car in recent weeks. But Kreller trying to turn around here. Ashley Brock had to make it on speed and is currently 19th quickest at 35.027. Oh my gosh. Well, this much we know. It looks like Tom Shelley is going to have to go back on a Provo. So I'm going to have to figure out who is in right now, because the top 18 in this session way quicker than the top 18 in the last session. We might be looking at a situation where we might have to restack this field a little bit based on like points or something. Steve Pollard knows he will race and currently has the second quickest time of the weekend, second only to Jessica Shelton, as it would be a Dodge Ford front row with Jessica Shelton and Steve Pollard right now as they run. But great job by Steve, third in the points, as he's been on a roll the last couple weeks in qualifying. Quick car right now for Kirk Shelmadine's team. Ish Taylor brings out the Ganassi colors this week and is 22nd quickest right now at 35.05. And I'm not even sure if that's good enough to race, because that's interesting that that's where the times have gone. Ish Taylor, we'll have to see where he's at later in the session when we're done talking about everyone. Knows he will have to make it on speed though, because Taylor will not have the points to be able to run this one. Another driver who will not have the points is 21st quickest at 35.038, which is good enough to have been 16th quickest in group number 1. Cosmic Nova doing a great job. Has to make it on speed though. Not sure where he will fall either. As we go over to the 4th Ganassi car here this weekend, Seth Cole not having the speed, 29th on the speed charts. And unfortunately for Seth, he is dead last in the points coming in. Yet to talk about Robert Pollard, who finds himself 7th quickest at 34.90. Great lap by Robert Pollard there. Pollard had to make it on speed. There's not much to say really there. Looks like Pollard will. Axel Cosella finds himself 10th quickest right now at 34.94, which amazingly enough would have only been 12th quick or 13th quickest in the other session. So the top of the guys not as quick as the other group, but yet the middle of the group is so much quicker than the other group. So a very weird thing going on there with this, but Axel Cosella 10th quickest right now at a 34.94. Doing a great job so far this season. 25th in the points, as we've had a wreck. We've had a wreck. Looks to be Daniel Day involved. Yes, Daniel Day involved. And we are hearing they will be going to a backup car in the 28. So Daniel Day with the backup going in now. He will have to start at the rear of the field if he makes this race. Moving on, Eric Powers currently 15th quickest at 34.98. The time's just wow. Eric Powers comes into this race. He had to make it in on speed if he was going to race. He was 44th in the owner's points. Amy Shelley currently is 24th quickest, and that speed would not be good enough to make it. We pretty much already confirmed that one. So the points leader struggling just as much as second in points was. Right now I see about 4 of the top 5 in points having to use a Provo to get into this race, as Amy Shelley has not had the quickest car so far this weekend. Henry Powers just in front of her, 12th quickest right now at 34.95. Powers comes into this race 8th in the points, and it looks like it's a good thing he'll make it in on speed, because not a lot of the top Provo spot, or a lot of the Provo spots are going to go to the guys high up in points. Jim Casella is 28th quickest right now at 35.17, and Casella, important for him to have made this race, 29th in the owner's points, 28th in drivers. Remember, he has the win at Chicagoland. He needs to be top 30 in the points if he's going to make it into the chase. Right now, he's very borderline. We'll take a look at who Daniel Day wrecked with at the end of the session off camera, and we'll try and figure out who it was that will be going to the rear of the field as well. Now, time to figure out who on earth is actually going to be in this race. So, starting out with Kenny Bale right now at 35.05 with a minute left here. Bale would knock out Neuwirth. Ish Taylor 35.054 would knock out Ash Curtis. The 35.038 would then knock out Kenny Bale. So Bale is still on the outside looking in. The 35.036 would knock out Ish Taylor. And then you look at the 35.027 would knock out Max Neuwirth. So Max Neuwirth right now, Max Neuwirth is packing up. He's going home. They're not going to have the points. Right now, the bubble spot is, ironically enough, Cosmic Nova. The 21st place car in this session is the bubble time at a 35.038. As we're already in standby time. So it looks as though Cosmic Nova gonna just barely squeak by in this session. And there it is. Yep, times are official. This is how they will line up. Well, let's just let them keep going. But looking down at the bottom of the order, we know Ish Taylor, Kenny Bale are going to be going home. Max Neuwirth going home. Dylan Casella will be going home as well. Tristan Wilhoit going home. Matt Dixon's going home. Seth Cole is going home. Who all is going home beyond that is beyond me. What we do know is that the front row will be Jessica Shelton and Steve Pollard for this race. And very surprising front row. Looks like row 2 might be Charles Jackson and Sam Curtis. And the top 5 would be rounded up by Mary Shelley. So, with that, we'll say so long from qualifying. And we will see you for the race on Sunday. 4 races upcoming this weekend. IROC, Trucks, Hooters, and then, of course, the Coke Vanilla Cup Series from Michigan to round out the race weekend. So long, and I hope you enjoyed.